Hi everybody, it's me, Jose Segura, your SMEA president. Thanks for coming back to another episode of Fireside Chat with the President. Appreciate it. So this episode we're going to focus completely on evaluations, all right? It's evaluation season. This is the time of year when those of you who need to be evaluated should be contacted by whoever your site administrator is or your department head, and you should be notified that you are on the list for evaluation this year. Okay, so what to expect? Got to let you know the evaluation process has a schedule. This is the 8th week of school, and so you should know by this week not only if you're going to be evaluated, but you should have already had your pre-evaluation conference with your administrator. That's where you and your admin get together and decide which of the professional standards and the elements within those standards you're going to select for your evaluations this year, right? Okay, so if you're a temp or you're a probe one, you're slightly limited in what standards you can choose. If you go to our contract, and we'll put a link to the contract back the email where this video was attached, and look through Article 9. Article 9 is all about the evaluation process. You want to go back there and look for that. But if you are a temp or a probe, you have a limited selection of evaluation standards to choose from, and that's section 9.2 of our contract, right? All right, so new teachers get evaluated at least once a year. So those of you who are brand new to the district, expect that you will be evaluated. That happens every year for new folks, all right? Probably the first couple of years you're in the district, expect to have an evaluation. New folks will be evaluated twice in the same year. Permanent members, so I get this every year too. People want to ask me, well, when do I get to go to the 3-year cycle for evaluations? So those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, once you become permanent, you move to a 2-year cycle. All right, if you are a permanent teacher, you're looking at 2-year evaluation cycles every other year. This is awesome. So you don't have to be evaluated every year. Let's see what I have here. It says, okay, but some of you have asked me, well, what about the 3-year cycle? I heard that I don't have to be evaluated I only have to be evaluated every 3 years now that I'm a permanent teacher. Well, that 3-year cycle is offered to teachers who are 10 years or more. So you have to have 10 years or more in the district. You may move to a 3-year evaluation cycle if you and your evaluator agree to a 3-year cycle. So it's not an automatic thing. Both you and your administrator or your evaluator have to agree that a 3-year cycle is what you want to do. And I know that our administrators are really, bogged down with evaluations. Their sites are big. They have a lot of teachers at their sites. Those are the folks who are department heads who do evaluations. Departments are just getting bigger. There's a lot of folks to evaluate. So there's definitely an incentive for teachers who are doing a good job and who have had good evaluations over the years for their administrator to agree to a 3-year evaluation cycle. All right, so there's that. Okay, make sure that all the deadlines in the evaluation process are met. Go back to the link or to the email that this video was attached to. You'll see a link to all the evaluation documents. That includes the timeline. You should have also received the timeline from your evaluator when you received that initial packet of evaluation docs, but in case you didn't, you can always find it in the link of evaluation documents that this video was attached to, all right? So it's important that all the timelines are hit. It's not your responsibility to hit the timeline, it's your administrator's responsibility. In other words, setting up meetings and things like that, it's not your responsibility to set those meetings, it's not your responsibility to set an evaluation observation date. That's up to you and your administrator, but your administrator is ultimately responsible for all of that. All right, so those of you who are permanent teachers, there are choices in the evaluation process, right? When you're new, you're a probe or one, or you're temp, it's always going to be a classroom visit or in-room visit evaluation where somebody is actually, your evaluator is actually there evaluating you. But if you're a permanent teacher, you can select to do a traditional evaluation where your evaluator comes in and does an evaluation of you in the workplace. You can put together a portfolio of your work and submit that as to be reviewed as your evaluation, or you can do a peer or reciprocal evaluation where two members evaluate each other. This third option kind of cuts the administrator out of the process, but it does really kind of kick everything up a notch because now you are being evaluated by a peer and you are agreeing to do that to each other. Just a few rules about this. If you decide to do a reciprocal evaluation or peer-to-peer evaluation, the two of you don't have to be from the same grade level. You don't have to be from the same subject area. You don't have to have the same prep periods. You just have to be at the same work site, right? So I couldn't have a peer evaluation or reciprocal evaluation with somebody who works at a completely different school than mine, right? But if a third grader and a fifth grade teacher think that they want to do a peer evaluation, awesome. If a math teacher and a science teacher want to do a peer evaluation, that's awesome. So the peer-to-peer or reciprocal evaluation option is yours for permanent teachers if you want it. And by the way, that's your choice. It's not your administrator's choice. Your administrator doesn't get to decide or approve which evaluation option you select. It is your choice. If you choose to do a peer-to-peer evaluation, you and your co-evaluator will come up with a format for that evaluation, and your site administrator or your department head or your evaluator gets to approve the plan. They don't get to decide for you if you choose that format. All right, so we got that out of the way. Good. Let's also make sure we add this in. Evaluations are based on the professional standards, and those professional standards can also be linked to the email that this video came in. And that's it. The evaluation process is not a disciplinary process. We have a separate process for that. We have a separate article in our contract specifically about discipline, or how the district can discipline its employees or its members. So the evaluation process is not an opportunity for your site administrator or your evaluator to start nitpicking the things that they don't like about you. All right, that is not what this is for. If there are issues with your job performance, or if there are issues with contractual areas, then they need to be addressing those as they come up, not waiting for the evaluation process to dump all the things they don't like. So the evaluation process should not be a disciplinary process. All right, it's strictly about the evaluation of your job. Let's also talk about that form that a lot of you have concerns about. It's got all the standards kind of listed across for any one of the professional standards and elements, and what an evaluator would be looking for. And then next to each one is a 4-point rubric. And folks get concerned sometimes when they see what an administrator is circling, you know, 1s and 2s, maybe some 3s, and that really bothers them. But I have to tell you that form is not, I repeat, is not part of your official, formal evaluation final. It is not. It is essentially a running record for the administrator to use while they do the evaluation of you. So when they're in your room in real time, they can use that form to help them take notes. They can circle from the rubric at each standard. They can write notes in between the lines. They can use that form really however they want to help them organize their thoughts and to record what they're seeing, so that later, when they actually write up the summative evaluation, they have something to work off. So now that summative evaluation, which you will meet on at the end, is your actual formal evaluation. So the summative evaluation, which is the written text of how you were your evaluation, that is your formal evaluation. That's what goes into your permanent employee file, not that form that has the 1, 2, 3, 4s on it. All right. So make sure we're all clear on that. And let's see, what else do we need to know? Okay. Right, so the process doesn't have to be complicated, all right? You can read all the relevant information in Article 9 of our contract. Again, click on the link, you can go to there and go all the way through it. Let's see, must have a pre-evaluation conference. Okay, we talked about that. You're being evaluated on your performance as it reasonably relates to the standards set forth in the California standards for the teaching profession, not on curriculum. Another thing, right? You're not being evaluated on the curriculum. We don't get to choose the curriculum. We are only being evaluated on the California standards for the teaching profession, and only the standards and elements that were selected for that evaluation process. All right. So the question comes up sometimes, well, what if I pick a standard and an element and I go to my pre-evaluation meeting with my administrator and we have a conflict as far as what we believe is the right standard? Well, in Article 9, there is a mechanism for moving through a scenario where you and your administrator just don't agree. All right, you can take that to a committee that will evaluate the standards and come up with a resolution. So there is a mechanism for that, but ultimately standards need to be chosen in order for you to be evaluated. All right, so that's about it. If you have evaluation questions, ask your evaluator, which is usually your site administrator or your department head, and you know, have a happy evaluation season. It doesn't have to be a stressful time. It could be an opportunity for you to really shine and to show what you know, especially when it comes to professional standards and the things that you're doing in your classroom every single day, regardless of what curricular area or what program you're teaching, right? The professional standards are the standards that apply to all areas of our job, regardless of the textbook or the material that's in front of us, all right? So we will talk soon. Thanks very much for watching this episode of Fireside Chat with the President. We'll see you.